The day after October 7th, she said nothing for a few days, never condemned it.
Yeah.
And when you asked her on the show, she said, Piers, I never talk about anything international. Is Brigitte Macron an American?
But
so
you
she can
just
speak about the genitals of the First Lady of France for months, but not condemn the gang rape of Jewish women?
I've already said to Candace, I don't believe a word of the Brigitte Macron thing. What I would say about what you've just quoted Lord Farmer as saying, you said that he condemned Candace in the statement he put on X. He didn't condemn her. I've just read it again. And there's no condemnation of his daughter-in-law. He simply set
You're
out...
You're kidding. Read the first line. Read the first line.
In view of public comments from a high-profile member of my family, I want to put my own views on anti-Semitism and Israel's current military campaign in Gaza on public record. Where's the condemnation?
Thank you very much.
Candace?
Thank you.
So where's the condemnation?
Thank you. So let's get the timeline. Candace says she was on vacation
Where did he condemn
with her father-in-law 2 days before. Wait,
Where did he condemn her?
You and I can read between the lines on any press statement.
I'm not reading between the lines.
Number one, she says, in
you
view
said
of a high-profile...
I've just shown you he didn't condemn her.
He absolutely condemned her.
No, he didn't.
He doesn't once say, it's my daughter-in-law, Candace, and I love her, but we disagree. Number two, he went on to say that Israel has every right... He was distancing himself for her repulsive putrid and reptilian anti-Semitism.
He gave his own opinion.
Why did he start by saying, in light of a high-profile member of my family?
He gave his own opinion. He didn't condemn her and didn't even name her.
He distanced himself from Candace.
Let me ask Candace a different question, which is this. Candace, why is it, do you think, that so many people in the Jewish community believe that you are anti-Semitic?
I think that's actually a very good question. And just to go back, I'm going to answer your question. I just want to make sure people are recognizing, because he said a lot of stuff there, he's not able to counter. He essentially tried to hold me to looking up the sources. We've now found the sources, and it's the BBC, it's the New York Times, and it is the Euromed Human Rights Monitor.
We have found no sources, and we'll fact check it afterward. You looked it up during the show. I'm sorry.
Bombs were dropped on Gaza, and per the BBC, the British aircraft dropped 4,000 tons of bombs on Dresden. So just for clarity,
in a single night, not 11 months.
In
a single night, correct.
Please don't cut me off. I have not cut you off. He called that a blood libel because that is a strategy, which is meant to just distract people from the truth or looking into it. So you say everything you say is a blood libel. Now, to answer your question, Piers, I think that's a very good question. And the answer for that is because the media as an entity has been basically mining Jewish pain, the history of their pain, by taking people out of context and presenting things that are as a fact that is simply untrue, things that I've never said. We are watching right now, and that's why I'm grateful for you to provide this opportunity. You are watching Rabbi Shmuley do this live, right? When we talk about yellow journalism and people that take things out of context and try to present it to people with a bunch of hysteria and go, oh my gosh, Candace said this. Oh my gosh, Candace is a Holocaust denier. Oh my gosh, he's called me all of these names, and he doesn't have a single fact in there. They just know that if they say those things, it's a trigger. It is reminiscent of exactly what was done for Black Americans for a very long time. They have now since changed their perspective on me, but for a long time, they thought that I legitimately hated being Black and hated the color of my skin because I stood against Black Lives Matter as an organization, and I stood against what Black Lives Matter was doing. And the media made them hysterical. She's a Black person who doesn't even want to be Black, and she's a Black white supremacist. They bought that narrative because when the media lies, a lot of people accept that what they're reading is true. But of course, I didn't hate Black Americans. I didn't hate anything other than BLM abusing and mining Black pain, going back and saying, well, it's going to be just like slavery, to distract people from what was ultimately just a fraudulent organization that was actually going to bring more harms to Black Americans in the end. And that's how I feel about the state of Israel and everything they're doing. Ultimately, I believe it's going to yield more anti-Semitism. It's going to make people associate what Bibi Netanyahu is doing to all Jews around the world. And so I think it's important for them to realize it's these same exact tactics of manipulation, the same exact name calling and ad hominem attacks that is not based in fact and not based in reality, but based in not wanting to answer the fair critiques that people have about what Israel is doing. But that's a very good question.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, there's some validity to that argument, I think, is that too often I do see people immediately branded anti-Semitic if they dare to criticise the Israeli government. But there's a very big difference between criticising a government and its actions and a whole people, which is what anti-Semitism is. And do you accept that difference?
The beauty of Israel is it's a democracy. You just said that hundreds of thousands of people are marching against Benjamin Netanyahu. I welcome those protests. It shows that even during war, listen, in 1864, the United States had a presidential election. Some people wanted to cancel it, saying that how could you elect Lincoln when there's a civil war? And they still had the election.